All right, welcome. We are about to dive deep, and I mean deep, into one of the most incredible places in the entire universe, the living cell. Today, we're going to follow a single, tiny protein molecule on its super important voyage along what I like to call the cellular highway.
It's pretty wild to think about, right? Your body is made up of trillions of cells, and every single one is basically a microscopic city, buzzing with activity. You've got factories, post offices, highways, the whole shebang. And just like any big city, it needs a super efficient shipping system to make sure everything gets exactly where it needs to go right on time. And here's our hero. This is a brand new protein, fresh off the assembly line. Now, it has a very specific job to do, but to do it, it absolutely has to get to the right spot in the cell. This journey is everything. I'm not kidding. If it gets lost, the entire cellular city can get into some serious trouble. Okay, first stop on our proteins tour is right here, the endoplasmic reticulum, or just the ER for short. If you look at it, it's this huge interconnected network of membranes that kind of looks like a winding maze. This is the cell's main factory floor, and it's where our protein is going to get processed and prepped for the rest of its journey.
So, how does our protein even know it's supposed to go to the ER? Well, it's all because of something brilliant called the signal hypothesis. You see, our protein has a special address written right into its own structure, a little tag called a signal peptide. Think of it just like a shipping label that says loud and clear, "Take me to the ER." So let's break down how it actually gets there. First, as the protein is being built, that signal peptide, the address label, pops out. Then, a little cellular machine called an SRP, which is basically a package scanner, spots this label and latches on. And then it guides the whole operation to a special docking station on the ER's surface, basically its front door. Once it's inside the ER's maze, the real work starts. See, the protein begins as just a long, floppy chain. But to do its job, it has to be folded into a very, very precise 3D shape. And the ER is also like a super strict quality control checkpoint. It makes absolutely sure the protein is folded perfectly before it gets a stamp of approval to ship out.
But let's pause and think about that for a second. What do you think happens if this quality control system messes up? If that folding process goes wrong, the results can be really, really bad. These misfolded proteins can become toxic, and they're actually at the heart of a lot of very serious diseases.
But good news, our protein passed its inspection with flying colors. It's folded just right and it's ready for the next stage. So, looking at this crazy factory maze, take a guess. Where do you predict it's headed next on its trip through our cellular city? And here we are. The next stop is the Golgi apparatus. Now, if the ER was the factory, the Golgi is the city's central post office. And notice how different it looks. It's not a maze at all. It's this really neat, orderly stack of flattened sacks. It kind of looks like a stack of pancakes, doesn't it? Inside the Golgi, our protein gets a few more upgrades. One of the most important ones is called glycosylation. The easiest way to think about this is like the post office adding special stamps, or maybe those fragile handle with care stickers to the package. These little sugar chains are critical instructions that help figure out the protein's final destination and its job. Okay, this is a good time for a quick pit stop. Here's a little cheat sheet for the main places in our cellular city. We've got the ER, that's our factory for folding and quality control. We've got the Golgi, our post office for sorting and packaging, and coming up soon, we'll meet the lysosome, which is the city's recycling plant. Keep these nicknames in mind, they really help. So after making its way through all those Golgi stacks, our protein has been modified, sorted, and it is officially ready to go. It's been packed into a special package, all set to be shipped out from the post office to its final address somewhere in this busy city. The package is all sealed up, it's ready. But how does it actually get anywhere? It can't just float around hoping for the best. What kind of delivery truck does a cell use to move these precious packages along its internal highways? And the answer is vesicular transport. The delivery trucks of the cell are these tiny membrane-covered bubbles called vesicles. They literally bud off from one organelle, travel along the cell's internal highway system, which is a network of protein filaments called the cytoskeleton, and then they find and merge with their target. It's amazing! This whole delivery process happens in 4 key steps. First, the cargo, our protein, gets selected and loaded up. Second, special proteins called coat proteins build the structure of the vesicle around it, kind of like assembling the frame of the truck.
Third, the vesicle. Our truck buds off from the post office. And finally, after its trip down the highway, it fuses with its destination to unload that precious cargo. So, our little protein is now getting close to the end of its long journey. It's time to see where it finally ends up, and, maybe even more importantly, to understand what happens when this incredibly precise delivery system breaks down. For our protein, there are two main outcomes. Destination A, the vesicle travels to the cell's outer border, the cell membrane. It might release the protein outside the cell or maybe embedded in the surface to act as a sensor. Or there's destination B. If the protein is old or damaged or just not needed anymore, it gets sent to a totally different place for disposal. And that destination is the lysosome. This is the cell's official recycling and waste disposal plant. It's filled with really powerful enzymes that can just chop up proteins and other materials into their basic building blocks, which the cell can then use again. It is the ultimate example of efficiency. Nothing goes to waste. Now, why does all of this matter so much? Because when this cellular highway fails, the results can be devastating. In cystic fibrosis, a key protein gets stuck in the ER's quality control and never reaches the cell membrane where it's needed. In Alzheimer's, it's thought that problems with this transport system contribute to that toxic buildup of plaques in the brain. And in Tay-Sachs disease, a crucial enzyme doesn't make it to the lysosome, leading to a fatal buildup of waste. These tiny, microscopic journeys have huge, real-world consequences. Whew! We have covered a ton of ground, following our protein all the way from the factory to its final destination. So before we wrap up, let's do a super quick review to make sure these big ideas really stick. You ready? Okay, first question for you. What do we call that special address label that tells a new protein to head straight for the ER factory? I'll give you a second. That's the signal peptide. You got it. All right, question number 2. Which organelle, the one with that signature stack of pancakes look, acts as the cell's central post office? That would be the Golgi apparatus. Excellent. And for our last question, what are those tiny bubble-like delivery trucks that carry cargo along the intracellular highway? You know this one, they're called vesicles. Perfect. And that officially completes our protein's journey. But I want to leave you with one final thought. This unbelievable cellular city inside of you is working non-stop, 24/7, just to keep you healthy and alive. So what's one healthy choice you can make today? Maybe it's what you eat, or getting some exercise, or even just some rest to help support all of its amazing work. It's something to think about. Thanks for coming on this journey with us today.